Poem 6. If I Should Die, by Emily Dickinson. Summary.
Emily Dickinson, 1830 to 1886, born into an educated family in Massachusetts, USA, was a prominent early American poet. Despite opportunities to travel, including visits to Washington as a senator's daughter, she chose to live within her family circle and never married. Dickinson began writing poetry in her 20s and her output grew substantially in her 30s, averaging around 200 poems per year from 1860 to 1865. She penned over 1,800 poems in her lifetime but didn't actively seek to publish them during her lifetime. Dickinson's style was uniquely individualistic, not adhering to any particular school of poetry. Her themes often revolved around morality, God, and life and death. In her poem If I Should Die, Dickinson contemplates the naturalness of death and advocates for facing it with calm acceptance, reflecting her personal philosophy on the subject. Emily Dickinson's poem, If I Should Die, reflects on the continuity of life and the world's persistence in the face of death. The poem contemplates a scenario where the speaker has passed away, while the world around them continues to evolve. The imagery of time gurgling on conveys the relentless and continuous flow of time, indifferent to the individual's mortality. The mention of morning beaming and noon burning illustrates the cyclical nature of days, emphasizing their regularity and unyielding progression. The lines about birds building and bees bustling underscore the idea that life carries on with its natural activities, regardless of one's passing. This imagery symbolizes the ongoing vitality of the natural world, independent of human existence.
Dickinson then touches on the reassuring notion that the world will persist even after one's death.
Stocks will stand, commerce will continue, and trades will flourish.
This suggests that life's economic and commercial activities will go on, providing a sense of stability and continuity. The poem's tone shifts towards a sense of tranquility and peace in the face of mortality. The knowledge that the world will carry on brings comfort and serenity to the departing soul. The mention of a gentleman so sprightly conducting the scene imparts a sense of capable and energetic individuals who oversee the ongoing affairs of life. Overall, Emily Dickinson's poem captures the idea that life is a continuous cycle, and even in the event of one's passing, the world will persist in its natural rhythms. This perspective offers solace and tranquility in contemplating the inevitability of death. Multiple choice questions.
1. Emily Dickinson is said to have written about poems a year.
A. 100. B. 200. C. 300. D. 400. 2. The speaker believes that time will, even after her death. A. Pass normally. B. Pass differently. C. Pass unusually. D. Pass exceptionally. 3. Which flower will be planted on the grave? A. Rose. B. Tulip. C. Lotus. D. Daisy. 4. The speaker expresses, at the thought of death. A. Terror. B. Sadness. C. Calmness. D. Anger. 5. If I Should Die is an example of A. Narrative poem. B. Sonnet. C. Elegy. D. Lyric. Extra MCQs. 1. Where was Emily Dickinson born? A. Massachusetts. B. Washington. C. USA. D. England. 2. Why did Emily Dickinson choose to live within her family circle and never marry? A. She didn't have opportunities to travel. B. She preferred a close-knit family life. C. She was a senator's daughter. D. She didn't believe in marriage. 3. When did Emily Dickinson begin writing poetry prolifically? A. In her teens. B. In her 20s. C. In her 30s. D. In her 40s. 4. How many poems did Emily Dickinson write on average per year from 1860 to 1865? A. 100. B. 150. C. 200. D. 250. 5. How many poems did Emily Dickinson write in her lifetime? A. 800. B. 1,200. C. 1,600. D. 1,800. 6. Did Emily Dickinson actively seek to publish her poems during her lifetime? A. Yes. B. No. 7. What were some of the main themes in Emily Dickinson's poetry? A. Love and nature. B. Immorality, God, and life and death. C. Politics and society. D. Adventure and exploration. 8. What is the central theme of Emily Dickinson's poem If I Should Die? A. Love and loss. B. The inevitability of death and acceptance. C. The beauty of nature. D. The passage of time. 9. What does the imagery of time gurgling on symbolize in Emily Dickinson's poem? A. The fleeting nature of life. B. The cyclical nature of days. C. The persistence of the natural world. D. The indifference of time to mortality. 10. What does the phrase stocks will stand signify in the poem? A. The stability of the financial market. B. The endurance of material possessions. C. The growth of businesses. D. The continuity of economic activities. 11. What emotion does the poem's tone shift towards in the face of mortality? A. Grief. B. Tranquility. C. Anger. D. Confusion. 12. According to Emily Dickinson, how should one face death? A. With fear and anxiety. B. With calm acceptance. C. With resistance and defiance. D. With sorrow and regret. 13. What does the mention of gentlemen so sprightly suggest in the poem? A. The presence of lively individuals overseeing life's affairs. B. The absence of capable individuals in the scene. C. The chaos and disorder in the world after death. D. The melancholy atmosphere surrounding death. 14. What does the poem ultimately convey about life and death? A. Death is to be feared and avoided at all costs. B. Life is fleeting, but the world continues to thrive after death. C. Death is the end of all existence. D. Life and death are inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. 15. What does Emily Dickinson's poem If I Should Die offer to those contemplating mortality? A sense of fear and uncertainty. B. Comfort and serenity in accepting the inevitability of death. C. A call to resist and fight against death. D. A reflection on the fleeting nature of life without offering solace. B. Short questions. 1. According to the speaker, how does an individual's death matter to the world? According to the speaker in Emily Dickinson's poem If I Should Die, an individual's death holds a certain significance in the broader scope of the world. The speaker reflects on the idea that even in the event of their own passing, the world will continue to function and evolve. They express the belief that life's natural rhythms, represented by activities like birds building and bees bustling, will persist unaffected by their absence. The speaker suggests that stocks will remain steadfast, commerce will carry on, and trades will thrive. This implies a sense of continuity and stability in the economic and commercial aspects of life. It conveys the idea that the world's mechanisms are not reliant on any single individual, and they will continue to operate independently. Furthermore, the speaker's contemplation of their own mortality leads them to find solace in the fact that life will go on. This perspective brings a sense of tranquility and peace in the face of the inevitable. It highlights the resilience of the world and its ability to adapt and continue, even in the wake of personal loss. Overall, the speaker conveys the notion that while an individual's death may hold personal significance, in the grander scheme of things, the world will persist with its natural rhythms and activities.
This perspective offers a sense of comfort and acceptance, emphasizing the enduring nature of life despite the passage of time.
2. What will happen to the elements of nature after the speaker's death?
According to the speaker in Emily Dickinson's poem If I Should Die, the elements of nature will continue their natural activities and processes after the speaker's death. The speaker reflects on the enduring vitality of the natural world, emphasizing its independence from human existence. They use imagery of birds building and bees bustling to symbolize the ongoing vitality of nature. Birds, representative of the avian species, will continue their instinctual behavior of building nests, and bees will persist in their industrious activities. This imagery conveys the idea that the natural world operates according to its own rhythms, regardless of the presence or absence of any individual, including the speaker. The poem suggests that the cyclical nature of days, with morning beaming and noon burning, will continue in its regular pattern.
This reinforces the concept of the world's persistence and continuity, unaffected by the speaker's passing. Overall, the speaker's reflection on the elements of nature after their death highlights the timeless and unyielding nature of the natural world. It underscores the idea that life's activities, both in the animal kingdom and the natural environment, will carry on as they always have, independent of any individual's presence or absence. This perspective serves to emphasize the enduring vitality of nature in the face of mortality. 3. How does the speaker describe her tomb? The speaker in Emily Dickinson's poem If I Should Die does not explicitly describe her tomb.
Instead, the focus of the poem is on the speaker's contemplation of death and the world's continuation after her passing.
The speaker reflects on the natural processes and activities that will persist even in the absence of the individual.
The poem centers on the idea that life will carry on, with birds building and bees bustling, and the cyclical nature of days continuing. The speaker also mentions that stocks will stand, commerce will continue, and trades will flourish, emphasizing the continuity of economic activities.
The tone of the poem is one of calm acceptance and serenity in the face of mortality.
The speaker finds comfort in the knowledge that the world will go on after her death, and this brings a sense of peace to her departing soul. Overall, while the speaker does not specifically describe her tomb, the poem is more concerned with conveying a broader perspective on life, death, and the enduring nature of the world.
The focus is on the natural processes and activities that will persist, rather than on the physical details of a tomb. 4. What makes the speaker's departing soul feel serene?
The speaker's departing soul feels serene in Emily Dickinson's poem If I Should Die due to the comforting realization that the world will continue its natural course even after her passing. The speaker finds solace in the knowledge that life's activities, both in the natural world and in economic endeavors, will carry on without interruption. The speaker mentions that stocks will stand, commerce will continue, and trades will flourish. This implies a sense of stability and continuity in the economic and commercial aspects of life. It suggests that the world's mechanisms are not reliant on any single individual, including the speaker, and will continue to operate independently. This perspective brings a sense of tranquility and peace to the speaker. The knowledge that the world will persist and flourish after her death offers a source of comfort and acceptance. It allows the speaker to face the inevitability of death with calmness and equanimity.
In summary, the speaker's departing soul feels serene because she finds reassurance in the idea that life will go on.
This broader perspective on the enduring nature of the world and its activities provides a sense of comfort and peace in the face of mortality.
5. Summarize the poem in your own words.
Emily Dickinson's poem, If I Should Die, contemplates the natural progression of life and the continuity of the world after the speaker's passing. The poem envisions a scenario where the speaker has departed, but life around them carries on as usual. The imagery of time flowing inexorably conveys the relentless nature of time, indifferent to individual mortality. Morning and noon continue to follow their established patterns, symbolizing the unyielding progression of days. The poem emphasizes the vitality of the natural world, depicting birds building and bees bustling, signifying the perpetuity of life's activities. Additionally, it suggests that economic and commercial activities will persist, with stocks standing and commerce flourishing. This underscores the notion that life's mechanisms operate independently of any one individual. The speaker finds solace in the thought that the world will continue its natural course even in her absence. This brings a sense of tranquility and acceptance, allowing her departing soul to face death with serenity. The poem's tone shifts towards a calm and peaceful acceptance of mortality, offering a perspective that emphasizes the enduring nature of life despite the passage of time. Overall, Emily Dickinson's poem provides a contemplative reflection on the inevitability of death and the reassurance that life will persist. It offers a perspective that brings comfort and peace to the speaker in the face of mortality, emphasizing the enduring vitality of the natural world.
C. Long questions. 1. Does the speaker believe in Christianity? Give reasons.
The poem If I Should Die by Emily Dickinson does not explicitly mention the speaker's religious beliefs, including whether she believes in Christianity or any specific faith. The poem primarily focuses on the contemplation of death and the continuity of life and nature after the speaker's passing. While the poem does not provide direct evidence of the speaker's religious beliefs, it does touch on themes that are often associated with Christian thought. The poem alludes to the natural order of life and the persistence of the world's activities, which can be interpreted in alignment with Christian beliefs in the cyclical nature of life, creation, and the afterlife. Furthermore, the poem's acceptance of death and the calmness with which the speaker approaches the idea of mortality may align with Christian teachings about acceptance of one's mortality and the hope for an afterlife. The speaker's tranquility in the face of death suggests a sense of faith or spiritual acceptance, which could be indicative of a belief in Christianity or a similar religious worldview. However, it's important to note that the poem does not provide explicit or detailed information about the speaker's religious beliefs. Interpretations of the speaker's faith or spirituality would be speculative and subjective, as the poem primarily focuses on broader themes of life, death, and the enduring nature of the world. In summary, while there are elements in the poem that could be interpreted in alignment with Christian beliefs, the poem itself does not definitively state the speaker's religious affiliation or beliefs. The focus remains on the contemplation of mortality and the continuity of life after death, rather than on explicit religious doctrine.
2. How many sense images are used in the poem? In Emily Dickinson's poem If I Should Die, sense imagery is employed to vividly depict the natural world and convey the speaker's contemplation of mortality. Sense imagery refers to the use of descriptive language that appeals to the five senses: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. Sight: the poem evokes visual imagery through phrases such as morning beaming and noon should burn. These descriptions paint a picture of the passage of time and the cyclical nature of the day. The imagery of a star shining alone in the sky also appeals to the sense of sight, emphasizing the singularity and brightness of Lucy's beauty. Sound: the word gurgle in the line "in time should gurgle on" appeals to the sense of sound. It suggests the continuous, murmuring flow of time, creating an auditory image that symbolizes the relentless progression of life. Touch: while there is no direct imagery related to touch in the poem, the description of the natural world, such as birds building and bees bustling, implies a sense of tactile activity in the environment. Overall, the poem predominantly relies on visual and auditory imagery to convey the speaker's contemplation of life, death, and the enduring nature of the world. The imagery of natural processes and activities, along with the cyclical patterns of time, creates a vivid and contemplative atmosphere within the poem. In summary, If I Should Die employs primarily visual and auditory sense imagery to convey the speaker's reflections on life, death, and the continuity of the natural world. These sensory descriptions enhance the reader's understanding and emotional connection to the themes explored in the poem. 3. What does death mean to the speaker? Is she panic-stricken at the thought of her death? Give reasons. The speaker in Emily Dickinson's poem If I Should Die does not appear to be panic-stricken at the thought of her own death. Instead, she approaches the concept of death with calm acceptance and serenity. The speaker views death as a natural and inevitable part of life's cycle. She acknowledges the passage of time and envisions the world continuing its activities even after her passing.
The imagery of time girdling on, the regularity of morning and noon, and the activities of birds and bees all serve to emphasize the relentless and continuous flow of life, which includes the occurrence of death.
The speaker's tone throughout the poem is one of tranquility and peaceful contemplation.
She does not express fear or anxiety about the prospect of dying. Instead, she finds comfort in the idea that life will persist and flourish after her own death. This perspective provides her with a sense of solace and acceptance. Furthermore, the speaker's reflection on the enduring vitality of nature and the continuation of economic activities suggests a broader acceptance of the cyclical nature of life and the inevitability of mortality. This viewpoint is in stark contrast to a panicked or fearful response to the idea of one's own death. In summary, the speaker in If I Should Die does not appear to be panic-stricken at the thought of her own death. She approaches the concept with a calm and accepting demeanor, viewing it as a natural part of life's cycle. This perspective provides her with a sense of comfort and serenity in the face of mortality.
4. Does the speaker believe in another world after death? Explain. The poem If I Should Die by Emily Dickinson does not explicitly address the speaker's beliefs regarding an afterlife or another world beyond death. The focus of the poem is primarily on the contemplation of mortality and the continuity of life in the natural world. While the poem does not provide direct evidence of the speaker's beliefs about an afterlife, there are elements in the poem that can be interpreted in alignment with certain religious or philosophical perspectives. The poem's calm acceptance of death and the reassurance that life will continue after the speaker's passing can be seen as consistent with the idea of an afterlife in many religious traditions. The speaker's contemplation of the natural world's persistence and the ongoing activities of birds and bees may suggest a belief in the enduring nature of life, potentially beyond the physical realm. This can be interpreted as an acknowledgement of the cyclical nature of existence, which aligns with some spiritual or religious beliefs in reincarnation or an afterlife. However, it's important to note that the poem does not explicitly state the speaker's beliefs about an afterlife, and interpretations of the speaker's faith or spirituality would be speculative. The poem primarily focuses on broader themes of life, death, and the enduring nature of the world. In summary, while there are elements in the poem that can be interpreted in alignment with beliefs in an afterlife, the poem itself does not definitively state the speaker's stance on this matter. The focus remains on the contemplation of mortality and the continuity of life after death, rather than on explicit discussions of an afterlife or another world. 5. Read the following short poem by Emily Dickinson, If I Shouldn't Be Alive. Does the poet give the same view of death in both poems? If I shouldn't be alive. When the robins come, give the one in red cravat a memorial crumb. If I couldn't thank you, being just asleep, you will know I'm trying with my granite lip. The poem If I Shouldn't Be Alive by Emily Dickinson conveys a different view of death compared to the poem If I Should Die. While both poems touch on the theme of mortality, they approach it from distinct perspectives. In If I Shouldn't Be Alive, the speaker contemplates the possibility of not being alive when the robins arrive. The speaker instructs the reader to give a specific robin, distinguished by a red cravat, a memorial crumb. This imagery of the robin and the memorial crumb suggests a gentle acknowledgement of the potential passing of the speaker. It conveys a sense of connection to the natural world, where even in death, there is a desire for a small token of remembrance. The second stanza suggests a potential inability to express gratitude in the event of the speaker's passing. The speaker mentions being just asleep, which could be interpreted as a metaphor for death. This implies that in the afterlife, the speaker may be unable to verbally express thanks. The phrase granite lip evokes an image of immobility and stoniness, suggesting the limitations of communication in the afterlife. Comparatively, in the poem If I Should Die, the speaker contemplates death from a broader perspective, focusing on the continuity of life and the world's persistence after her passing. The speaker displays calm acceptance and serenity in the face of mortality, finding comfort in the idea that life will go on. In summary, while both poems touch on the theme of death, they present different viewpoints.
If I Shouldn't Be Alive provides a more personal and intimate reflection on the potential passing of the speaker, with a focus on small gestures of remembrance. If I Should Die takes a broader perspective, emphasizing the natural flow of life and the world's continuity, and conveys a sense of acceptance and tranquility in the face of mortality. Best of luck.